everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Victoria and I talk everything Leafs hockey from Scotland. Today we're talking about week 7 and 8 of the Toronto Maple Leafs regular season games. I usually do these on a weekly basis, but there's been so few games lately and I was also away in Canada on a trip, so I decided just to combine these 2 weeks as well, the same as I did last time. But from next week we'll be back to posting them on a weekly basis. But there were only 4 games to cover across these 2 weeks, so not a whole lot to talk about. This will be a pretty quick video. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe to my channel and also like this video. I post everything about hockey, the Toronto Maple Leafs and also the Toronto Blue Jays sometimes, all the way from Scotland over here on this little corner of the internet. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, make sure to subscribe. So let's dive into a little bit of analysis, and one of these games is of course very important to me because, as I mentioned, I was over in Canada for just a week-long trip this time. Went to Toronto, went down to London, Ontario as well, and I took in some hockey while I was there. I decided not to vlog the trip, mainly because I vlogged like every single trip I've ever taken over there, and it was kind of nice to just sort of step back from constantly either having a camera or a phone in my hand for the time I was there. It was a nice little break away from constantly trying to kind of film everything and whatever, so it was like a nice little break. I did take a few clips of the hockey games I was at just because memories, but I did not vlog my time over there because I was over there for a month in September, and I actually still have an entire vlog from September that I still haven't edited and uploaded, so I'll try and work out a way that I can make a video out of that, I guess. But yeah, I did not vlog this trip. It was only a week long. I went to a Leafs game and I also took in a prospects game. It was the CHL versus the US DTP, and it was really cool to see, you know, future NHLers in that group. And I've never been to a prospects game before, and I was thoroughly impressed with the high quality of hockey, the skill and the physicality that there was in that game. It was at Canada Life Place. Sorry, I still want to call it Budweiser Gardens because Budweiser Gardens is still the cooler name, I'm sorry, but I believe it's called Canada Life Place now. The arena in London, Ontario. Love that arena. I got to a Knights game a couple months back and I loved that, and I really enjoyed this too. I actually I got a t-shirt, which, you know when they throw t-shirts into the crowd? I got a t-shirt and it's really cool and I love it a lot. I should have worn it in this video actually. You'll probably see that appear in a video because it's really cool. But yes, I went to that, and so I got to take in some hockey while I was away, which was fantastic. Anyway, I won't keep you guys any longer. Let's dive into some analysis. This will be a short and sweet video because we're heading up to a really busy schedule in December for the Leafs. It is crazy, their December schedule. So even though the past couple videos have been 2 weeks combined of the games because there's been so few of them, as I said, we'll be back to weekly programming from next week onwards because the schedule is crazy busy. Put it this way, I'm not getting over my jet lag anytime soon. I'm still partially going to be in Eastern Standard Time because I'll be watching so many Leafs games. There's 4 this week alone. There's 4 in 1 week, whereas there was 4 in the past 2 weeks. It's just crazy. Anyway, let's do a quick rundown of the 4 games from the past 2 weeks in the Leafs season. So starting off on Wednesday, November 20th, they were at home versus the Vegas Golden Knights and they won this game 3-0. Joseph Woll had a shutout. I believe it was 31 shots on goal. He saved every single one. I must say the Leafs goaltending and the depth of it this year has been absolutely standout, and it really does make me believe that as long as they can stay healthy, there is the real potential for this team to go far. Because they've had goaltending problems before. It's been a little inconsistent, a little bit flaky at times. This year it seems so much more solid. I believe for the first time, in my opinion anyway, Joseph Woll and Anthony Stolarz are both as good as each other, and it's already sparked a debate about who would you start in a must-win game because they've both been so good. It's great to be spoiled for choice. I know it's a tricky decision of who you would start in a must-win game, but we're not thinking about that right now. We're just going to enjoy the solid goaltending, and this game against Vegas was a perfect example of that goaltending goaltending in action. A first period goal from Fraser Minton combined with 2 third frame goals from Nylander on the power play and Holmberg with an empty netter gave the Leafs a 3-0 win. The penalty kill was also strong in this game as Vegas actually went 0 for 3 on the power play. And another highlight was the fact that Nikita Grabenkin made his NHL debut and he really made an impact. He looked fantastic. I think that he has the potential to really add to this team in the future. He's obviously still so young. Fantastic. I absolutely love to see it. I think he really did make his presence known in this game, and overall it's hard to fault a game where you get a shutout, and especially given that of course at this point Austin Matthews is still not back in the lineup, and he's not back in the lineup for another couple of games after this still. Then fast forward to Sunday 24th of November at home versus Utah. I was at this game. This was only my second ever regular season Leafs game because I'd been to preseason games, but apart from one game against the Islanders 2 years ago in 2022, this was only the second regular season game that I have been to. They won 3-2. It was a fantastic game. I had so much fun. We got really good seats. The atmosphere was just really good. I know people complain about the atmosphere at Scotiabank sometimes, and while I do agree that it would be nice for the lower bowl to constantly be filled with actual fans rather than corporate people, but I must admit I have zero complaints about the atmosphere at Scotiabank. The atmosphere is like very different compared to what I'm used to in arenas over here, but the sport and culture is very different, and I personally much prefer the kind of atmosphere that you would get at a Leafs game or at other NHL games. It's much more my style. Leafs fans in general are just so nice. Like anytime I'm at Scotiabank, there's just always nice people to like talk to that, like, you know, you'll just randomly spark up a conversation with, and it's just lovely. Like every time I've sat next to like strangers at a game, they've always been so nice, and I've always got kind of chatting away to them and stuff, and they've just always been lovely. Like I just genuinely find that no matter where I've sat at Scotiabank, the people around me have always been so nice, and I have nothing bad to say about anybody I personally have come across in that arena. The Leafs had 3 goals in the second period, 2 from Marner including 1 on the power play, as well as an unassisted shot from Nylander which also made it to the back of the net. Despite Utah having actually got on the board first and also clawing back one in the third, this was a really great Leafs game. It was a really entertaining watch. The Leafs got so many power play opportunities in this game. They actually got 6 in total, but they only scored on 1 of them. And this game also saw the Leafs go 7-1-0 without their captain. Austin Matthews was out for a substantial amount of time, and overall the Leafs did okay without his presence. It's not a long-term solution, as we will discuss about the next game, but it is great to see that the team has enough depth that they can manage when one of their star players is out. I'm obviously very biased because I got to go to this game, but absolutely one of my favourite Leafs games this season, of course. The next game was on Wednesday the 27th of November, and it was away to the Florida Panthers, and I was quite excited about this matchup because they're currently the 2 best teams in the Atlantic Division. It is likely, with the way that the form is right now, that those 2 may be the ones contending for the Atlantic Division title. Of course, everything can change, but as of the standings right now, that could definitely be a scenario. So I was quite excited for this game, and the Leafs, it just didn't happen. They lost 5-1. The team, of course, had been very depleted. It was even further depleted in this game because Bobby McMahon was also out injured. They were missing the likes of Matthews, they were missing the likes of Nyes. The team had been depleted for a while, and I do believe that it's possible for a team to be okay depleted for a short amount of time, but I believe that that sort of, the stamina does run out, the luck kind of runs out, and this game really was just that. 5-on-5 goals were actually in very short supply during this game. Florida got on the score sheet first with a power play goal, and then they also made it 2-0 with a second first period goal, and unfortunately this first 20 minutes really set the tone for the rest of the game. Mitch Marner did get the Leafs on the board with the unassisted power play goal in the second, but only after Sam Reinhart had put the Panthers 3 goals ahead. And then the third period really sealed it for Florida with a power play Verhaeghe goal and also an empty netter from Sam Bennett. It's a shame. It could have been a really good matchup. It would have been better if the Leafs hadn't had such a depleted roster. But it was the most lacklustre game that we've seen in a long time, and I think there's definitely some games where you notice the absence of injured players, and this really was that. They just looked so worn out. They just didn't really look like they ever got any momentum going in this game, and it was a bit disappointing. It of course is justified by the fact that they had so many injury problems, but it was still gutting to see nonetheless, especially when there's so few Leafs games. It hits harder when there's less games. Final game we'll talk about today was on Saturday, November 30th, and it was away to the Tampa Bay Lightning. I actually watched the first part of this game on a plane because I was flying back home, and so I didn't get to see the latter half of this game because I was up in the air with no Wi-Fi available to me. But I did watch the start of it, literally until I had to put it like into airplane mode. I was watching every second of this game, guys, I promise. I haven't missed a game yet this season, and I'm determined I'm not going to miss one. No airplane ride, no plane journey is going to stop me from watching at least some of the Leafs game and then catching up with the rest the next morning. The Leafs won it 5-3, and of course, from the hockey that I saw, the Leafs looked really good. Austin Matthews was back in the lineup. Matthew Nyes was back in the lineup. Speaking of Nyes, he was the one who got the Leafs on the board first with a first period goal. The second period only extended the Leafs lead with goals from Tanev, Robertson and Tavares. They were 4-0 up going into the third. At this point, I am now blissfully unaware up in the sky that they really nearly shot themselves in the foot, because the third period saw Tampa claw back not one, not two, but 3 goals, making it a 1-goal game with just a couple minutes left in the entire game. Nylander did get an empty netter, giving the Leafs that 5-3 lead, but I don't like it when I see them choking like that in the third period, because they've been really good this season at kind of holding leads, and you know, one game doesn't take away from that, and they did still win at the end of the day, but I'm always concerned when I see them kind of bottling it in the third period that way, because that's the kind of thing in the postseason. I know we shouldn't talk about the postseason in November, but that's the sort of thing in the postseason or in the lead up to the postseason that can really impact your standings. But anyway, nonetheless, they did win 3 games out of 4 in weeks. Sorry, is this 7 and 8? Yes, it is 7 and 8. I was about to say 6 and 7, but that was last time. As of the end of that week, they were 2nd in the Atlantic and 10th in the league. This is of course before they played Chicago last night. But as I'm filming this, it's Tuesday. I'll be posting this tonight.
Yeah, so I'm really late at uploading this week. So the Leafs have actually played 2 games now this week, not just the one against Chicago, but also the one last night against Nashville. So once again, I'm really sorry. I've been very disorganised lately. I am really sorry, but we're back on normal schedule next week, I promise. And once again, this video only includes the games up to the 1st of December from the past 2 weeks before then.
They obviously played Chicago last night, but this is not including that, of course. And so the Leafs are looking very solid still to start the season. It's nice to see they've got that added depth there, and they were able to still find success even without Austin Matthews. So I said I'd keep it short and sweet, and so here we are. I've only been filming for 15 minutes, so that's good. We're going to have a short enough video. So thank you so much for watching, guys. Comment down below, what did you think of the Leafs' performance over the last couple of weeks? How excited are you to see Austin Matthews back? And who would you choose in a must-win game as your starting goaltender out of Joseph Woll and Anthony Stolarz? Leave your comments down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Once again, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll be back soon with more Toronto hockey chats from across the pond. Bye guys.